Change your mind, change your money, change your life. I am Coach Rob Lee Simmons, the host of this podcast, and let me be your tour guide to greatness. I was doing any better, I would be you. Welcome to the Greatness Academy podcast. I am here with Myra Payne. She is running for Virginia Senate 19th District. She is a candidate, y'all. Welcome to the show, young lady.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here because, I got a bunch of questions, but let's kind of start off the conversation with your journey. Tell us a little bit about your journey from, small town Tennessee to the Senate. Tell me about it.
The Senate, small town Tennessee actually was a farm in Tennessee and rural area in Tennessee. So that's where I grew up, in a two-parent household with 3 other siblings, and I graduated high school in the in the 70s. Wow, that was a little while ago. So I've had time to mature, and so doing that. Growing up, I think my father was a great leader in terms of the things that he taught us, a work ethic. So, you got to get up and go to work. You've got to take care of your family. You have to, he demanded us to go to college and get an education. He said he wanted to show us that we had to get tools so that we could manage our life and we could live a good life and be happy. So those are the things that I did. I started working. My first actually volunteer job was in a hospital at 14. And then later that transitioned into a nursing assistant nurse's aide job. And over that time, I decided I wanted to be a nurse. So I started to pursue a career in nursing. I started out going after graduation from high school. I started going to a community college, Volunteer State Community College. That's in Gallatin, Tennessee. And from there, I, just pursued nursing and worked sometimes part-time along the way. And finally graduated from Austin Peay State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. But also during that time, I started a program, ROTC, which is the Reserve Officers Training Corps in college. And I did ROTC for 2 years and was commissioned second lieutenant. And that really kind of changed my life, but it gave me a lot of leadership skills during my college career. And I learned a lot about the military and what the military had to offer me as a nurse. And so that's really excited me because I kept thinking I could be any kind of nurse, because a lot of times when you get out of nursing school, you have a lot of ideas, but the Army or the military would give you opportunities to research or participate in different areas of nursing. So you could choose the best thing for you. And so, but I thought I wanted to be originally a OB nurse or, deliver babies. And I learned through nursing school and through the military, that's not what I wanted to do. I decided to pursue a career in critical care nursing, which is, most people understand, the ICU, cardiac care, step down, recovery room from surgery, those kinds of things, emergency room nursing. I love it. And so that's kind of my nursing career. So I spent 22 years. And you don't get a chance to really be kind of a worker bee in the military. You automatically are a leader. And I was leading shifts and eventually, wards and even departments over the time that, I was working. And I found that it was so easy to move through the next echelon. You were always prepared for the next grade. I felt somebody said, well, when is your promotion to I was a major to lieutenant colonel? And I said, I already work at that level. I'm already there. And that's the thing that I knew, that I was already working at that level, even though I didn't have the rank. And that's where I think I found myself most of the time, is that I was always prepared for the next level and the next opportunity that the Army presented me. And when I retired from the military, that I think is where some of the struggle begins, because you transition knowing what you want to do, but you don't know if you're going to actually do that. And you may do what you think you're going to do for a little while. So for a short period of time, I worked at Norfolk State University as a instructor and as a nursing instructor, and that was one of the best jobs I've had. And then you're a civilian. You have to be reminded that you're not in the Army anymore, but you want people to body get together,
Right, right.
march on out. And but what I discovered in that time is I was prepared really for that as well, because I had taught while I was in the Army in the practical nurse program, and as doing certification for critical care. And I found the nursing students, though, so exciting to work with young people. So that really gave me a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Yeah. Going and listening to what they thought about nursing as opposed to what they were learning about nursing sometimes was a little bit different. And I said, this is not that easy. It's work. And sometimes it's a lot of physical work. And I think that was some of the students got overwhelmed by the amount of physical work nursing is. But in the military, because you're in good physical condition, right?
Right.
We've been running and doing all that, PT, and the demand of being physically fit. I understood that. I really needed that as a nurse. You need to be physically fit. So I have to keep working out. I'm still walking. I'm not running as much as I ran, but I'm still walking, and I'm still moving and doing things. I do Pilates occasionally. I like yoga, and that you still have to stay active and stay physically fit for working as a nurse. And now, as you live on, you got to be strong.
So let me ask you this. You have like a very extensive history of nursing. Where did your passion in nursing come from?
I think because I just love people. I enjoy working for people and serving people, and I like to see people well. Health, you cannot put a price on health. So to be well, as I feel right now, I'm 62 years old and I'm well. And I'm excited about my health because I feel that people need to, one, take care of themselves, of course, and prevention is a key. Is you want to prevent disease, but part of that goes back to working and doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. So, but nursing is a love of people and loving to serve people and seeing people well and healthy and happy.
So you mentioned that like being physically fit played a big part in how you accomplish your day-to-day goals. Looking
Yes.
back at your time in the military and even going forward, how do you approach physical fitness as a goal? And then what would you recommend for others who are looking to better themselves in that realm?
Well, physical fitness also helps you with weight management. So it's a combination of weight management and keep your body parts moving. If you, they always say if you don't move it, you'll lose it. So
Mm.
you have to, I see myself working out 2 or 3 days a week. I've, I've even worked out as much as 4 to 6 days a week. and to keep my body strong. So we're talking about muscle resistance exercise and whatever, but exercise, and to me, whether you do it inside or outside, benefits your physical.
Mhm.
But if you do things outside sometimes, and even inside, it helps your mental. So we're not just talking about your physical strength, we're talking also about your mental stability.
Yeah, so let's shift a little bit in how you are attacking your campaign and looking at really putting healthcare in the forefront of everyday citizens' lives. How do you feel that we can better develop healthcare for the citizens of Virginia?
Well, my goal would be to make sure that people understand the health care that they have, and those people who do not have health care, that we have to make that, ensure that that's affordable. And sometimes I think it's maybe that people don't understand, you actually, everyone in Virginia should be able to have some type of health care. And people will say, well, I don't have a job or I don't make enough money, but we do have policies that people can purchase even now uh, through Obamacare, what people call Obamacare, but those things and policies are still available to people who maybe be underemployed. So I would say that it's affordable. Healthcare is extremely expensive, and insurance companies play a big part. But at the same time, we also have to make sure that it's quality and competent, that the care is competent. And there's many situations when people don't really understand what they not necessarily entitled to, but what's available to them,
Hmm.
and whatever their problems are, how they can solve them. So there should be some way. For instance, I'll give you a good example. Medicaid, Medicare. If you have Medicare, there's a website all about Medicare, right? You can go there and find out all your benefits. But most insurance companies have those same types of websites where people can go and look up what benefits that they have available to them. The other part of that, though, that we are trying to solve in Virginia is access to the internet. Some people do not have access to the internet. So it sounds like, okay, you don't have internet. Well, everybody should have internet, right? But there are places in Virginia that people may not have access. So we're trying to create uh, access to the internet to everyone in Virginia. And that way you have access to information. And that's really the key, is sometimes just accessing information. Where do I go for this? Who could I get to help me if you don't know? And yeah, what's available in my community?
And so it looks like a lot of uh, what you're pushing is education and health. Growing up, how important was education in your household? And then how does that play a role in what you plan on doing in the future?
Education is a key, uh, because even from whatever age, we're learning constantly. And you have, to me, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner, and I've learned a lot about this process of being a candidate and running for office since I'm a first time candidate. So to transition through our lives from from birth to death, we have to navigate the world in general and learn what we need to do to navigate.
Yeah.
So we're you got to know what you got, and then a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And I always say, one thing I think that my father taught me, that one of the best skills was problem solving. And because I was like, I would see him say, oh, this is a problem, And then the next thing, I would see him solve the problem. Like, okay. And, I thought, oh, it wasn't a math problem. It's a life problem. And I think that's what he demonstrated he demonstrated solving life's problems when you don't have the money that you need, or your car dies. And I use this example even in nursing. You have a flat tire. My father expected me as an 18-year-old with a car to change the tire if it was flat.
Mm.
And that's back in the day when you had the spare tire and all the equipment
Yeah,
you needed.
the manual jack
Yes,
where you gotta.
yes. I had all of that. So I could change a flat tire.
That's amazing.
And I was like, that's what you do. Okay, you're running down the road and you hear bumba bumba bumba, right? And you pull over to the side. I mean, he taught us all these things. You get out, you make an assessment and say, oh, I have a flat tire. Now today, I'm gonna call AAA. But back in that day, I would, oh, flat tire. What do I do? Change it. You have to change your tire. You have to you have to make all those decisions. And I would see him go through problem solving process to a point where that is what nursing is. Nursing is that same problem solving. You see the person, you find out how they feel, what's wrong, what's hurting, and then you start to problem solve, based on your own knowledge and sometimes just an internal instinct. And I found that I just loved that. That was like my life, problem solving. So as I go forward in this campaign, that's what I'm doing. I'm problem solving. I'm looking at situations and saying, what's wrong with this picture, or where is it we need to go, and how are we going to get there? So we're not about just identifying problems. I'm about solving problems. I love to solve problems. I love puzzles and all of those little games. And I like, okay, it's a problem. So let's figure out and work together how we're going to solve these problems. And I think working together with especially healthcare providers, but also educating the public about what's available as well, so they can solve their own problems,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because that empowers people. When you can solve a problem, you feel, yay, I won.
yeah. That's amazing.
Everybody likes to win.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest things about educating yourself and having the ability to, and it's not even really educating yourself, it's the ability to have a resource to find the answer, right?
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that you guys are looking forward to providing. And I think it's amazing because you have this skill set of really, number one, just a natural born leader. And, I know your family well, and you come from just a long line of leaders and educators. But more specifically, you have a special set of skills and truly in education. But looking at your background, you have an MBA in business administration. How does the combination of your leadership and the ability to continue to educate yourself put you in this position to lead people in the right direction?
I think because one, everything is a business, and you may not consider yourself as a business, but you're a business. And people have brands now, and you don't have to have a company to be a brand.
That's good.
So we have to manage who we are. And I had a incident with a young man, and I was talking to him, and I said, uh, was asking something about something he did that I didn't think he should have done. And I asked him, did he know that he shouldn't be doing that? And he said, yes. And I said, well, why did you do it? And he was kind of like, when we were little kids, like, I don't know, how we go, I don't know. Well, I
Yeah.
just did it. And I said, well, it comes down to one or two things. Either you don't know, or you know and you chose not to do it. And so uh if you find yourself in a position where you are unable to make good decisions or control yourself, there are places in which those people can go. Because in our society, we have a standard of norms, and maybe they're known or unknown. But, you can't just steal and think that you can always get away with it. There's a way to dress, and there's a way to show respect. And we're expected to do all those things and know all those things.
No, facts. And I believe that is like a huge part of just simply being a responsible human being. Um, everybody isn't born with integrity, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to is choice, and you have the power of choice, and that's going to lead you in a either the right direction or the direction you want to go. But at the end of the day, you're driving the wheel. That's some very great points. Um, I want to ask you, in kind of sticking to the topic of business, how are like, so right now businesses are affected by the ability to cover themselves and cover other people in with their health. Like, so how do you guys plan on attacking small businesses and healthcare?
I think there may have to be, like I said, some kind of group type of insurance that people could do. Like, for instance, I I I tried to get the church one time to work with other churches and purchase insurance so that you will have a larger group of people in the pool. So insurance usually providers are base their prices on the number of people in the pool. So the more healthy people you have, then the less sometimes the insurance can be. So maybe you could pool with people who have the same age range, employees
Mhm.
that are maybe younger. So if you have a younger group of employees, you can work with other small businesses with those same age employees, so that insurance is not that expensive, because mostly young people don't require so many you know doctor's visits, and they're not yet involved in the chronic illness group. So people with less chronic illnesses is a group. So we could try to group businesses together like that. But the problem also becomes people who take care of themselves. So I always think that uh, what can we do to improve people's health and get them to participate in keeping their own health? There used to be a lot of programs that we could participate in that would help us stay healthy. And I think those kinds of programs we have to remind people to participate in. And some healthcare providers have some great programs, along with insurance companies and employers.
And as a avid uh I am a speaker of the people. I am also a licensed insurance agent, and everything you said uh is like, and like, big picture is amazing, because that's exactly how you uh lower insurance costs is group insurance. And the larger the group, the cheaper the insurance. The more healthier the people are in the group, the cheaper the
Yes,
insurance. And
yes,
being able to build a plan around that will save so many people so much money, and the ability to take care of themselves. I think that
right.
is that's a amazing point. Uh, Outside of healthcare, what are some other issues that are on the forefront of the battle that you guys are facing?
Oh, we have numerous battles. One is um, the attack on women's reproductive care,
Mm,
and that's going to be here until you know since the Roe versus Wade reversal, that has stemmed a lot of concern for people in Virginia. The other thing that I'm concerned about right now is that we had where People who felons, people who were released from incarceration with a that had a felony conviction could get their voting rights restored at the end of their, I think, probation period once they paid back society in their time. Well, our governor has decided, well, I'll just do that on an individual basis as opposed to something that was almost automatic to
Mm.
get back your voting rights. So that's one thing that's going to be on the ballot. And it's amazing, though, the governor now is saying, okay, everybody vote early. Well, that's interesting because actually, for the last 2 years that he's been in office, he's been against early voting. And, from all the things that stem from 2000 election and trying to overturn that, and January the 6th and all of that. So voting rights will, I think, forever be on the ballot. And right now, Virginia is at a critical point where if we cannot maintain a majority of Democratic uh, representatives, we may really be in trouble in terms of trying to keep that from, reverting back to something else where we have to have certain kinds of IDs. But people don't realize my mother had to pay poll tax. So she said, you better go vote. You don't have to pay now.
Yeah.
And that's not true. We pay through every tax in the world: property tax, sales tax, federal tax, or income tax, whatever. You're paying to vote. You're paying to be a citizen. So you already paid some taxes somewhere. If you bought anything or you worked one day, they taxed you. So go and vote, because guess what? You've already paid for it.
Oh, that's amazing. So coming up, there's going to be folks like me. I ain't gonna throw my name in a hat yet, but I got ambitions. And there's other people that are going to be coming behind you. So right now you're trailblazing, and people who have a passion in politics, and not necessarily politics, but being able to change their community, right? Politics just happen to be one of those ways that you're doing it. As you're going through this candidacy, what are some advice that you can pass down to the folks who will be following your footsteps soon?
Start now. Just don't wait until the day before. It's time to do something. So basically, if I had known what I knew today, I would have started last year, last summer, and started actually the process. One is to raise money. So if I had started raising money this time last year, I probably would have been fine. But now, because I did not raise money prior to my recent decisions, then I find myself struggling in terms of fundraising. So I'm saying, if you know you're going to run for an office, even if it's November of 24, you should be putting your committee together. You should start fundraising. You should get your information and your ID number from the IRS and form your committee and start raising money. Because depending on what office you may be running for, you might need $100,000. And it takes time to raise that kind of money and to be good at it. And then there's so many resources through the Democratic committee, the national committee, local committees, and state committees that can lead you down a path of understanding the process and all the things you need to do. But the number one thing you need to do, start today, form your committee, even if it's you and one other person, and start raising money and start setting what your goals are and putting a platform together.
Well, you see, I put that in my notes. I'm gonna make sure I start fundraising early. I don't know
Yes.
what office yet, but I know it's probably gonna be coming up soon. So I always have a question that I ask every person that comes on my show. It's my favorite question. So, what was the largest purchase that you've ever made, and then how did that make you feel?
Are you talking about like a cash purchase or just a purchase?
Cash purchase. Cash money.
Cash money. I know I haven't made that many large cash purchases. I've actually probably found more joy in donating large cash,
Ooh.
making large cash donations. That used to be my goal. I would set a goal of 10% of my income will go to the church. Okay. So when I look at my income statement, or I look at how much I gave to charities and to the church, and I look at my income, and I think the largest amount to date that I can remember in a year, I gave over $15,000.
That, I'm be honest, that was the best answer. And mind you, this is the 23rd episode that I've done. That was the best answer I've ever heard of that. The best answer.
Yeah. So basically every year I try to give somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 every year.
Giving
is a key.
Giving. Wow. I love it. Hey, thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate you. Thanks for taking your time. I know you're super busy and you're always on the move. So thank you for taking the time to come sit down with us and give us all of these nuggets.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a wonderful time.
I love it. And so on the show, we say that winners win. And when you win, we win. And we want to thank you for being a winner.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night. Have a good evening. And thank you again.
Blessings.
And we're out. Boom. Thank you for joining the podcast. And remember, change your mind, change your money, change your life. We out.